and welcome to this last video about the conditional. We're going to talk about the C structures. So these are the most famous complex structure of the GCSE. Basically, when people think complex structure, they think about this one straight away. It's the one that we teach everyone, even foundation. So someone who would be a high foundation, so towards a high 4 or a 5, which is the highest grade for foundation, this would be the structure that we teach them. So that's a very important one. It's like the foundation of complex structures. It's a very important one because it's basically the one that we are expecting you to use. And actually, a lot of questions are based on this. So a lot of the time, I would ask you, if you had the choice, what would you do? So if you were the director of your school, what would you change? And that is a C structure, as I'm calling them. So that's basically the kind of thing that you're expected to do. So if you have this question, then you're expected to answer using this structure. And this structure is constructed using the imperfect and the conditional. So if you have a look, so the structure in English is a if. So if I was blah, 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 then I would, and then something else. It's basically this structure, okay? It's a complex structure. So if you have a look at in French, you have si, which basically means if, okay? So si plus the imperfect, that's the was. So si plus imperfect. Then the conditional, okay? So si plus imperfect, then conditional. So I give you an example. Si, I don't know, si j'étais riche, if I were rich, or if I were, sorry, I think it was were, if you're correct. So si j'étais riche, j'achèterais un avion. I would buy a plane. Okay, if I were rich, I would buy a plane. So si j'étais, here you have your si, here you have your imperfect, and then here you conditional. Okay, so si j'étais riche, j'achèterais un avion. That is the structure that we're expecting you to do. So another example would be si je pouvais, if I could, I would be blonde. Oh, sorry, I'm actually writing in English. So if I could, I would be blonde. So si je pouvais, je serais blonde. There we are. Okay. If, then you have the imperfect, then you have the conditional. So this structure actually means that you need to know both your imperfect and your conditional from the top of your head. But actually, once you master both of them, the world of complex structures suddenly opens to you. And that's where you're actually going to realize that you can score the best points. Because a lot of the time, you can't reach the higher bands of your writing or your speaking paper if you have not included a complex structure within it. So it is very important to actually try to include a complex structure. So there are a lot of different ones, the different tenses. Some difficult tenses like the pluperfect could be used as a complex structure. Let's say the negative form and the reflexive, so when you combine the negative and the reflexive, could be used as a complex structure. And then this structure is one, okay? Then you have, after having a lot of complex structures, it's like you have the choice, basically, there's a lot of them. But this one is really the most important one because it's the most famous. So it's really the one that the examiner is going to expect you to do. So I'm going to let you do your booklet. In the booklet, I'm going to ask you to write 10 structures like this. What I strongly suggest is that you try to find one for each topic. So one for family and friend, one for technology, one for home and region, one for holiday, one for the environment. But try to vary the topics, then you have different complex structures, and that way you actually create yourself a bank of different structures. And then if you, or at the end of your writing or at the end of your speaking, and you suddenly realize you haven't included any of them, then you can put these as kind of like a joker in the middle. So like, you know, yeah, like trying to fill in the complex structure gap in the last minute. So that is a good one for this. So I'll let you go and build your 10 complex structure using the C structure, and I can't wait to see your work.